Seth Rollins loved seeing Hulk Hogan getting booed on Raw. Charlotte Flair's WrestleMania plans have changed, and an ex-WWE star has promised to return to wrestling. Stay tuned for all the wrestling news. Now, Hulk Hogan was given quite a thunderous booing when he was last at Raw on the Netflix premiere. It kind of has been the big talking point of the past month, how much he got booed. He was meant to be on Saturday night's main event. He wasn't there due to prior obligations. Lots of theories that it was because of the booing. Seth Rollins, though, obviously he's been on a lot of media rounds with Royal Rumble. And Good Morning Football specifically asked him about the overwhelming negative response to Hulk Hogan. He responded by saying, "I'm all for people getting what they deserve. That's how I feel about Hulk Hogan getting booed. If you're getting booed by the masses, there's a reason for it, all right? So I don't know if Hulk fully understands the scope, but people get what they deserve, so I'm happy to see it. Love to see it."
He continued saying, "I said this before about the Hulkster. He's the guy that got me into this industry as far as my love goes for professional wrestling. So I'll never take that away from him. What he's done for our business, I'll never take that away from him. But I do think there's some responsibility that he needs to own up to that he hasn't yet. And maybe when he finally figures that out, he might be able to move forward with our fans. So we will see."
I've always thought Seth Rollins has been quite... when he's done media stuff, he's always very much toed the company line, and that's how I've always perceived it to be. He's been very, he's a company man. It's very interesting that he's gone straight out there and just been very honest about his feelings with Hulk Hogan, and it does seem like that is the trend with people at the moment in wrestling, is that they are just being honest about this, and it's good to see.
I think Seth has become a little bit more loosey-goosey in his interviews in recent years, but still he was very, very open about this. I like the fact that he did add he's what got me into wrestling and everything. I feel the exact same way about Hulk Hogan. I don't think I'd be doing this job if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan. He's who I grew up watching. I love the Hulkster. I was a true Hulkamaniac. But at the same time, to me, it's not about the politics or anything like that. Half the locker room, I would probably disagree with their politics. As long as you're entertaining, I don't care, right? But it's the lack of a sincere apology for the racism, which has been talked about by a lot of wrestlers in the locker room. It is the lying, it is the politicking, it's everything else that comes alongside Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan should have an easy job as far as WWE goes. He comes out there, and if he hadn't tarnished his legacy, he should be getting huge ovations every single time because of everything that he's done in professional wrestling. He is fundamental to what professional wrestling is today. And he's really messed that up. I don't think it's about his politics.
It's almost like he's got a lack of self-awareness around it, because he comes out, and although the reports around the time of the Netflix premiere was that he was expecting to get a slight reaction like that, it just seems completely oblivious to the fact that it was going to be that bad. So it's nice to see Seth Rollins acknowledging how bad it was and discussing his thoughts about it. Staying with WWE though just now, we do have an update on the upcoming European tour. Now WWE is going to be over in Europe for quite a long stretch, quite a few weeks, and a big name has been confirmed.
CM Punk is going to be there. He's been announced for just 4 of those European dates, WWE releasing on their Twitter. CM Punk is coming to Europe. The best in the world will be making 3 stops on the Road to WrestleMania tour next month. It's Belfast on March 22nd, Nottingham on March the 2nd, Vienna March 29th, and Amsterdam on March the 30th. He's not been on a WWE European tour since 2013. Last time he was over in Europe, I did notice that he's staying away from London this time because it didn't end especially well. But if you are wanting to see CM Punk, which I'm sure a lot of people will, I imagine there's going to be some disappointment about Punk not doing the other dates because he's missing a lot.
See, I imagine for these dates, obviously these are the house show dates. There is some TV tapings. I want to say Barcelona, London, Glasgow as well. So I imagine it's kind of assumed he's going to be there for those ones. But him on the house show loop for these European tours is certainly going to help the audience. It's going to bring people in. Not that they're going to struggle with that at the moment, but it's cool to see CM Punk back on a house show loop in Europe. We did see him at Bash at Berlin. We saw that match with Drew McIntyre last year. That was his last time wrestling over here. And prior to that, of course, All In. Yes. That was a fun time for all. Going on the road to WrestleMania, though, of course, this tour, we've got some news about potential WrestleMania plans. Charlotte Flair was back, of course, at the Royal Rumble. She won the Rumble and appearing on Raw. Got a negative response, shall we say?
Hulk Hogan, eat your heart out.
She had a very hard time. Bless her. It was overwhelmingly negative.
Give me a break.
She came out and she looked like she thought she was going to get cheered.
She's Charlotte Flair, for goodness sake.
She is true, yeah.
So according to Chris Featherstone on Backstage Pass, the feeling within WWE is that Flair will be utilised as more of a heel during the build to the match against Stratton at WrestleMania. Original plans called for Flair to work the feud as a babyface. That's never going to work.
It's never going to work with Charlotte
It's never
Flair.
going to work. No disrespect to Charlotte, because I think she is one of the greatest women's wrestlers in the world today. She is a deeply unlikable woman, and her character,
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Doing what she's doing, the top girl thing and everything. I think the only time that Charlotte Flair may end up getting cheered is if she goes, "Oh, I'm retiring this year," or something like that, and then people will look back and be like, "Oh, she gave us some absolute great matches. See you later, Charlotte. It will be sad to see you go," sort of.
It's interesting. She has fit into that position of a career heel now. Strangely, even if she's wanting to be positioned as that face, and Tiffany feels like a natural heel that is getting cheered massively. Like, people like Tiffany Stratton. And you just can't have Tiffany be the heel going into WrestleMania against Charlotte Flair. It just doesn't feel right.
I think it was foolish to believe that people would largely want to cheer Charlotte Flair anyway, but I'm glad that they are taking this route, because it is absolutely the correct route to take.
100%.
And I really hope, if that is the match that they go with, I really hope Charlotte puts her over.
Yeah, I hope so. But she won the Rumble.
Asuka, Rhea the first time.
There's not a good track record there. Right, we've got some news about a potential return to wrestling from one Samantha Irvin in an interview with USA Today. She said, "There's a guarantee, but that's a guarantee, sorry. My wrestling career has barely even begun. I think it would be an absolute waste of everything that I've done so far to not continue the story. I've got to finish my story. Now I want to just see creatively what else I can do. Hopefully when I come back to wrestling, I'll bring even more value than I did before." Obviously, one of the best ring announcers we've seen in a very, very long time. Gutted the fact that she stopped doing that. But it seems like everything she said since then, she also wanted to pursue other things in wrestling, not just ring announcing.
I really admire it, because I think she was at the top of her game in WWE, and I'm sure she will be at the top of the game should she come back to WWE if she goes and joins Ricochet in AEW. She was backstage at Dynamite this week. But I think it's really, really brave of her to go like, hey, creatively, perhaps I'm not as satisfied as I'd like to be. I want to try this. And get out when she's as popular as she was. I know she's a bit divisive. So some people go, "Oh, she takes away from the talent because she's so big, isn't she?"
She's a character.
But I loved her. I thought I loved her. Like she's, I think she's class, and hopefully she does come back at some point.
She felt like a genuine fan being in the middle of the ring, and I think that's it's the passionate, the moment when Cody won at WrestleMania, and you can hear her voice crack, and it adds to that moment so much more. So I would love to see her come back to wrestling. One name that has come back to wrestling this past weekend was, of course, Nikki Bella, returning at the Royal Rumble. On the Nikki and Brie show, she discussed her wrestling future as opposed to what's coming after that, and mentioned Brie Bella as well. What did she say?
She said, "Is this a one-off, or is she here to stay?" referring to herself. "Keep tuning in. You will see another fearless Nikki appearance sooner rather than later, that's for sure. I'm definitely doing more than what I just did on Saturday. Hopefully, Brie Mode will be by my side soon. More on that to come." I actually, you know what? I'm up for a bit of Bella tag action. I was thinking about this. Let's say Jay Cargill isn't able to do WrestleMania.
Okay.
If you want money drawing, casual fan pleasing women's tag team title match, I actually think Bella's isn't a bad shout.
I'd love to see them back. Yeah, I think it was great to see Nikki back at the Rumble. She hasn't sort of missed a step from when she was last in the ring, despite how long that absence has been. Yeah, she does. She brings in a casualer audience that are familiar with her. She was recently on the Traitors US, so you've got a bit of crossover appeal with that. I'd like to see them both back. I think Brie has been out even longer than Nikki.
She's had, what is it, like
she's
8 years or something?
She's trained with Daniel Bryan, like Bryan Danielson.
She might be good now.
Yeah,
you never know.
She might be good. We'll see if she does make a return. And we get to hear Brie Mode one more time. I liked your rendition of it there just to start the story, Brie Mode. But that is all we've got for you just now. We will, of course, be back later on. If there is more wrestling news, stay tuned to all the content put out the channel. We'll have WTF moments on Patreon at some point very, very soon from Royal Rumble. So check out that, patreon.com/Cultaholic, and we will see you later on.